The Lions are getting ready to play the 49ers, but behind the scenes, there's a little bit of a subplot going on that we've been following, and that is the open coaching positions. And our two coordinators are prime candidates for these positions, but another domino has fallen where the Atlanta Falcons have settled on their coach. And so now it is very possible that the news will be that both of our coordinators come back next year. And this is just huge because there were so many job openings. The Lions are doing so well. It just felt like, well, here we go, right? It's we're going to lose them, and makes sense. Thought we would lose them last year, but maybe this year. Well, check this out. Atlanta Falcons, they go with they find their guy. And so Ben Johnson and Aaron Glenn, both who had interviewed there, huge, right? So Raheem Morris, sorry, that was the name I'm looking for. So it leaves only the Commanders and the Seahawks. I don't believe that either one of them has interviewed for the Seahawks. So that would leave the Commanders. That's really good news that at this point, it seems one of the two will be back next year. And it's really interesting because Aaron Glenn, he's an odd one where it's like, man, this dude would make a great head coach. Defensive coordinator wise, some people have been frustrated, but you look back at what Aaron Glenn has done. Yes, they've given up a lot of yards, but not a lot of points in a day and age when, come on, you're going to get teams are going to score. Hello. You're not going to hold teams to 3 points. This isn't college football. So the Lions have been giving up in the 20s to teams after they've given up a lot of yards through the air, but they are stiff when they need to be, and that has been huge. So Aaron Glenn's kind of an interesting one, but Atlanta requested interview both Johnson and Glenn a second time in person. However, that never materialized before they went with Morris. The Lions are far from out of the woods as Glenn and Johnson are prime candidates for the Commanders job, with both expected to hold in-person interviews sometime next week. So the Commander's job, though, is not a home run. Meaning, let's just take Ben Johnson. Feels like Ben Johnson has the edge over Aaron Glenn. If you're Ben Johnson and you go and look at this Commander's job, it's a franchise that historically has not been run well. Now the owner's out of there, has not been run well. You don't have a quarterback. What do your picks look like? It's not an easy transition. You look at Jim Harbaugh goes to the Chargers. That just seems like you got a quarterback, you got some cap space, like things are good there. Commander's job is not as cut and dry, and something that I don't think it's just a home run that he bounces and goes there. So Dan Quinn has already had a third interview with the Commanders, and the Texans offensive coordinator has had a couple interviews. Now, Slowick has been reported that he's going to be back to the Texans. Don't know what that means exactly, if that's true or what, but Dan Quinn, third interview with the Commanders. So if we're a Lions fan, selfishly, it's like, come on, Commanders, just pull the trigger on it. Give him an offer. Let's move on, because, oh my gosh, it just is a great reminder of how far the Lions have come. And here's the thing, and why this is so interesting. In the past, everything that could go wrong for the Lions went wrong. Now, look how everything that could possibly go, we're catching breaks, right? Like, and never before. And it just goes back to, like, you got to be good. You got to have well run. Things go your way. Look at how all these openings come up. We have the hot candidates. They're probably gone. And yet they just kind of filled up. They've all kind of made sense with the moves that the other teams have made. And here we sit with our two coordinators still in the mix. The Seahawks coaching search has been one of the quietest of the bunch. Yep. But he did. Okay. So Ben Johnson did reportedly have a virtual interview. There's been no reported interest in Glenn on this. So that's right. There's been, did he not? Don't know. The Seahawks and Commanders are both expected to wait until at least next week to make their hires. So it is interesting, to say the least. And here's the interview tracker. I think this is perfect. Aaron Glenn, Commanders still open. Ben Johnson, Seahawks and Commanders. Okay, so Commanders is the in-person interview expected. So remember, if the Lions were to win, they'd go to the Super Bowl. Crazy. But they'd have that week kind of mini bye in between. So this is just crazy. I mean, if they could both come back, it'd be awesome. And I just love it. So again, we're on Pride of Detroit here. If you've noticed, I want to point this out. The number has jumped up to 7.5. So people I was watching continue to bet on the Niners, and that number keeps going up. So it was 6.5. Now it's 7.5. And I find that again, it's like, man, am I a homer slappy here or what? But the Lions are they have talent all over the field. And if you take the top power rankings of the top 15 players, the Niners would have maybe top heavy, right? The first 1, 2, or 3. They got Trent Williams, the defensive or the offensive tackle. Like, you can't forget about him. They have Bosa. They got McCaffrey. But man, the Lions would have 8, 9 guys out of that top 15. Like, so the Lions talent wise are right there. Coaching staff good. The only thing that just concerns me is our backup guard, left guard. When the Lions had their full healthy offensive line there for a 3-4 week stretch, man, the offense was comfortable doing things that you're like, there we go. When in the middle of the season, Jonah Jackson's out, Frank's out for a game, they're shifting around. Graham Glasgow has to come in for Frank, and so now there's another guard. When that offensive line is jumbled up, it is not good. I mean, because when Goff gets pressure, he just makes mistakes because he's slower. He's a step slower on any sort of evading. He cannot get out of anything. So when there's pressure, you can't help it, right? He tries to make something happen, extend the play. He cannot do that. And that's when fumbles, they reach in, poke it away, hit him while he's throwing it. There's just problems happen. So that's the only concern. Everywhere else I look around, I think defensively they're going to score on the Lions, but the Lions have shown that they're going to make it hard on you. And I don't want to say I trust the defense, but I do. I trust the defense to make it hard, make it uncomfortable, get a few stops, make a few plays. And I mean, that should be enough, right? So again, Lions get news that we're all hoping for, and that is that these head coaching vacancies continue to fill up. I love that. And it really reduces the chances that these guys are going to leave. They might still, but for right now, it looks like they're in good shape. And I'm surprised that most people are on the Niners still, because I feel like the Lions are in just great shape, talent-wise, coaching-wise. And again, the Lions have won big game after big game. They go on the road last year in the cold against the Packers, win that game. They go to Chiefs opening night, win that game. They've gone on the road at Tampa Bay this year. Outside, I'm just thinking of like outside games where it's like, oh, they have no chance. It's going to be 70 and sunny, California, no wind, Jared Goff, let's go. So let me know your thoughts in the comments on this one, and we'll see all of you on the next one.